Ellis, did you see my new one?
What?
I had a new LS copy pasta that I was flaming you for fantasy. Hold on, I'll put it in the Discord.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude. Wait, let me open fantasy draft. Give me a sec here.
Holy moly!
This is the future.
I should probably go set up my team anyways. Jiizuke is doing okay.
Joe, throw that one up for the chat.
LS, aka lowest scorer, is an entertainer on Twitch television.
True.
Oh, Twitch.television. Nice. Known for his wonky predictions and biases while selecting his fantasy lineups. He currently is holding the record for the worst fantasy team in existence.
I worked hard. I was there for like 10 minutes, like deleting, adding stuff. All right. That's the most effort you're gonna get out of me.
This is pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Well, hello everyone. Now that we got the bumps out of the way, welcome to Facecheck episode 20 of season 3. We're approaching we're approaching some sort of important number of episodes.
It's
probably
like
near 100. 20 today, but I meant just like in the history of Facecheck, probably like almost 100 or something. It's like I'll go back and count at some point. We should do something special for that. But we appreciate all of you being here today to break down the LCS Summer Split week 2, where I got massive complaints last week that we did not talk about TSM. Don't worry, we'll talk about TSM this week. Also, 100 Thieves is leading the league since the split restart. 5-1 for 100 Thieves since then. Yeah, and TSM, they dropped 2 games today. They almost dropped the game against, or this week, they almost dropped the game against CLG. But with that win, they're 4-2. So not as big of a falling out. And then Immortals, after going 3-0, they make the swap for Pretty, and they go 0-3. And it's, It is business as usual here when you look at the standings. Cloud9, 100 Thieves, TSM, TL, and then Dignitas being up there, kind of like what we thought, one of those middling teams with Evil Geniuses behind, and Golden Guardians picking up the rear as they have year after year, except that one year where they made playoffs. Dom, what jumped out at you this weekend in terms of the matches and in terms of, we'll just start with the matches.
Well, I have now joined the cult of Jiizuke. I am a Jiizuke ProView fan club member, and I actually think that whoever is co-streaming, if you don't watch only Jiizuke's point of view for every single EG game, you're just missing out on such high levels of content. Like, I've never seen anything like this before in a professional match. It's literally like he's a streamer that was misplaced into LCS. Like, he's so funny, man. Like, he's typing in all chat, shit talking the opponents. He gets gang to put little faces in the chat, exclamation marks, question marks, a bunch of stuff. The game is ending. He'll be calling the enemy team fuckers as he kills the Nexus. I've never seen anything that hyped me up as much as his ProView. Because there's that serious atmosphere of the LCS that if you try to get into it, you get sucked into the negativity and then end up flaming the players on stream. But if you just take it for what it is and you just watch it from a streamer point of view, it is just a really entertaining game that Jiizuke plays. So you know what? I mean, I might not say that Jiizuke is my favorite player in the LCS, but he's definitely my favorite ProView streamer in the LCS. Yeah, he's just insane.
Yes. Yeah, I found Jiizuke's ProView pretty entertaining as well. Sometimes I like to see how, some people manage to function that you didn't quite understand before.
It's because
my lord,
you gotta think about it like this. He's like a streamer, right? When you stream, you're not normally that focused on the game. You're focused on other stuff, what are you gonna say to your chat, or what is the next thing you're gonna type to your enemies? And I think he embraces that perfectly. He's just putting on a show, man. He's not grinding out, sweating for his life trying to win the League of Legends game. He is just going to put on the most content-filled show possible in ProView. He is literally just a streamer. And you know what? Honestly, I respect it more than I did when I thought he was Omega sweating.
Oh god, I don't know. I mean, all the pro views. So this isn't Jiizuke thing, but all the pro views have been interesting to say the least. So while you have this new epiphany and realization on Jiizuke being the maybe even the best streamer during LCS,
Yep.
you know, I think that overall, I don't know. Pro V has been an interesting rabbit hole for me to go down. I don't know how much you're watching it.
I'm watching it.
I would say that, yeah, I think that I've shifted. I think I'm mostly Pro View at this point. Yeah. Kind of weird, but it's good. You know,
the quickest thing to notice when you start watching pro views is how little players look at their map. Like they never look at other lanes, like in NA. And the only like real perspectives I've watched before were like Fakers and then Doinbees, because Doinbee has like his perspectives shown a lot on the FPX YouTube channel, and they literally just perma look at their lanes. Like every time they kill a wave, they're looking at lanes and trying to like determine what to do next. I feel like almost every single pro view I watch is completely locked camera.
Yes. I mean, some of them are just downright horrendous. Like it like even in team fights, it's like perma-locked to a point where you're suffocated and you can tell that they're not getting as much info as they should to actually make their decisions. I think that someone that's probably really bad at this is Lost. That was one of the most suffocating pro views that I think I've seen in a really long time. And you would never know if pro view didn't exist, that like this is a reality of his first person camera. So, but then I mean, on the flip side, I think that some of the pro views that you probably wouldn't know about is like Dardoch and Spica. They look around a shit ton. In between everything. Well, Spica more so than Dardoch. Spica does like the F keys in between autos and stuff. I mean, he has that down. While Patience juggling and stuff. So I mean, that's good. And then you have other junglers that are actually just locked camera with like a really slow mouse. And while there's not like a ton of efficiency, I know that Malice made that tweet a few months after the fact, right? Where Selfmade made like a comment towards Malice or something that you're not going to lose a game because you clear 10 seconds slow, right? But then Selfmade had an actual clear that is like 10 seconds off like the average in a pro game, and then he died because of it. And I know that's like an outlier, right? But like stuff like this is important, and there's no reason that it's not fucking stressed or that it's like the norm for it to be acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where I think the pro view exposes like way more than a lot of the players would want. I mean, I would wonder if a lot of the players actually would want their pro view out there. Like, if the players voted on it, I would assume that most people wouldn't want their pro views to be public, because then people can just see like all of the mistakes that they're making in lane. I mean, it's like one of the things when you're watching Jiizuke's pro view, you have a much more in-depth picture of what his laning issues are, and like you can see based off what he sees how he makes his own decisions. And I think that a lot of the times when you're watching his pro view, the decisions that he makes seems logical because you actually just don't have the information that you should have in the game. So like that's the thing that I think is really interesting about watching the pro view is a lot of like, I mean, I make the joke about Jiizuke being a streamer and understanding him more because of that, but I literally do understand how he makes his decisions a lot more, I guess, like more cleanly when watching his pro view, because you can tell that he just doesn't see a lot of the things that are happening. Like, he won't see people rotating on the map. He doesn't pan to other lanes and have like an idea of when people are diveable because he just doesn't look. So I think that's like the biggest issue, is that people are just not used to panning their cameras in North America to like what their teammates are doing. And there's times where if you watch a pro view and then you watch a game, you'll be like, oh, well, I mean, these are massive like opportunities for like 3-man dives, 4-man dives, all that stuff. And they just don't exist. So yeah. I mean, it's just the type of thing where I don't even know like how you coach that as a coach, if like the players aren't used to it. Like, you can tell a player to, hey, look at your fucking map, but like is that going to actually make them do it? I don't know.
So this is the big one that from last week that Jiizuke I don't know, had a decision where I don't think it falls into the line of him not having all the information. You made a great tweet about it, Dom. We cannot show. I think according to ProView rules, we're not allowed to show ProView on this show. So if you all want to go see the ProView, it is out there. You can go watch online, and of course make sure you go get ProView because it will enhance your viewing experience. Joe, fly this one, and maybe Dom, you can talk me through what streamer Jiizuke was thinking. So here we go. This is in the Immortals game. Our boy Jiizuke is on Lee Sin. He lands everything here. He lands the Q, and just what is the lack? What is happening?
I mean, it's actually even worse than you think, right? Because you think that he would just like went for something and it's bad. But what you realize is not only is it a bad decision, it's also like bad mechanics on top of it. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to just do the standard Lee Sin style on people from solo queue that, you know, random people do, or you try to like bait out a cooldown. Maybe bait out Lulu ult or something by taking a Q. So what he's trying to do here is actually Q towards Lulu and then insta ward jump out to like potentially bait a cooldown, or at least just look like cool on the stream or something. Because you got to remember, it's like streamer mindset in these games, right? So what actually happens is mid-air while he's queuing in, I wish I could see Ellis's face during this because I feel like he's going to literally explode. But while he's queuing in, he tries to W the ward that he puts behind him, but he actually misclicks on the ward and clicks on himself. So he W's on himself mid-air while flying in on his Q into just 5 people and just straight up dies. That's what he's doing. Like, that's actually just what happened.
Okay.
I mean, if this doesn't make you moist, I don't know what else could, you know? I mean, it's fine.
God, thank you for that breakdown. I didn't see the shield on himself. This is all.
Oh yeah.
All I saw was, come on, camera, change. Where is it? That. This is all I see. All I see is him laughing at him dying. That is all you see, dude.
So you see him laugh, and then on the pro view, what you get is, because, you know, like on, you know, the normal spectator, the items are actually in order of cost, right? Like you don't know what slot people have different items in. So what you actually see is immediately after this, he moves his like ward or whatever. He was like, oh, well, I was trying to ward jump and I just didn't have it on the right key. So then he moves this ward immediately afterwards. And I'm like, all right, well, shit, let's go to it. So the best part about this is this happens, right? So he cues into the whole enemy team, like starts erupting in laughter while like people are just super confused as to what's happening. And then IMT starts like a Rift Herald play. He TPs behind them, gets like 2 kills. And then he's just typing LOL baited, like all chat to the enemy team afterwards. Like, I don't know. So that's that's what it is. That's what's happening.
Look at Danny, like poor young rookie Danny sitting there. Watch him shrug. Watch him shrug right here. He's just like, wait, right?
Dude, Danny, like, what is the age gap between Danny and Jiizuke? This has
like
to be
years?
like you're at like Thanksgiving and your uncle comes like barging in drunk out of his ass and he just starts like doing stuff and you're so embarrassed.
Holy shit, that's the best reference I've ever heard. God damn.
Like fucking hats off to the other fucking teammates of this guy. Dude, I would fucking, oh my god.
Like, yeah, you know, like
if I wasn't I can't. You actually do have to give them credit for, like, imagine being in the voice comms with him when he's like laughing.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Tell him
and
it's
then
not
seeing
zoo
him
hours.
Like how do you not tilt after like he does this and it's like LOL baited? Like I would like be like, can we just focus on the game? Can we please just like win this game? We're playing as fucking Immortals, guys. We're literally 2 games up on fucking Immortals. Wait, are they even 2 games up on Immortals? Or are they down a game at this point? I don't even know what their score was at this point. They might be even with fucking Immortals. Like, it's so unacceptable.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Immortals went 3-0. Immortals went 3-0, and Evil Geniuses had a bad first week. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know how EG's like fine with his behavior though.
I mean,
I mean, just in general, I mean, for me, it's like repulsive. Like everything about the guy is just repulsive. From his gameplay to like his mannerisms inside of the game, to the fact that he's like so evidently just like care fucking free. I don't know. It's like really weird as an import.
I feel like that can be a strength.
So
right?
fucking weird.
It's a JoJo waiting room. That's just literally what it is. Like they have a 16-year-old mechanically talented player that's perma hitting rank 1 and looks like he has like the skill, and they're just waiting for Jiizuke to hit. You know, like they're waiting for JoJo to be eligible, and they're just going to replace Jiizuke. Like they just have to, just deal with what they have.
Is JoJo 16? Is that why he's not playing?
Yes,
I just thought it was
16.
because they were JoJo P, and I thought they were just like riding Jiizuke until.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I mean, do you think his pro view harms his future opportunities?
Potentially, yeah. But like the way that I see it is, I mean, it's what's even more sad is that he's so carefree and the way he plays whatever. And then like, how is he still like potentially a top 6 mid laner in our region? Like he's actually probably top half. Maybe he's top 5.
That's sad as well. That's really sad as well. I mean, my point of view is that like if I'm anyone and I watch this pro view as like a player, and I mean, I don't even think this is just like I don't even think this is a me stance, right? I think it's a general echoed sentiment from like people that are like either watching my stream that are pros and watching the pro view as well. It's like not like who would want to like raise their hand and be like, yeah, I think it's fine to get him. As like it's just so weird, man. It's so alien, I think, to us. Like all like you have Dardox Flame, which even that like makes me uncomfortable with, but I talked about it with Dardox like in chat. You have Dardox Flame in game, but like Jiizuke is like I don't know.
It's not Flame.
It's not even. It's like you're an embarrassment. Like I don't. It's so weird.
Oh no. I mean, yeah. If you really try to analyze it, it just makes you depressed, which is why I choose to just like laugh at it instead and be like, yeah, I mean, this is what's going on in our region, but like. It actually is kind of comical if you look at like the decisions that are made, how the people are behaving in games. Like everyone just perma types in NA now. I'm not sure if it's like that in EU. I know that a lot of people are making the statement that, oh, G2 used to do that a lot. So now everyone from like Europe like does that a lot. There's a lot of banter in all chat. But like the thing is, when the level of play is higher, it makes like the banter more like understandable or something. It's like, oh, well, I mean, at least you're playing the game well. So even if you might not be appearing to not take it seriously, like in chat, your gameplay shows otherwise. But when you look at like the whole region, right, we're benching our best players. We've got Jiizuke popping off at all chat, like queuing into the whole team and then like saying, haha, baited. You have like these random roster moves that make no sense, like even from like the middle to lower teams, like, Pretty playing a game. I don't know what your take on that is. I just feel like when you're a team that's struggling and you're in the bottom half, like, and you start getting wins, you don't want to do anything to fuck that up and potentially share scrims
right.
or give a player a chance on game. This legal thing didn't make sense to me as well. I mean, you're overperforming, and I feel like sure you could have an idea of, oh, this is something we want to do, but I feel like the timing is really off. Like if you are Dignitas and you're 14-9, just fucking play the roster you're 14-9 with. Like you should literally be like 6-19, like Brox and CLG. Like you should not be 14-9. So I don't know. I just feel like there's so much random stuff that goes on that I don't even know how I can begin to make sense of it. Whoops.
Jiizuke at it again in Dom's house. I don't know. Oh my lord.
I kind of want to let's move into that, how the subs have done, because there was thought put behind it, and I think we got some good clarity from TL, a much better statement before the written statement from TL about their move. It was a better statement than the video that they put out beforehand.
I mean, what the fuck else could they have said? Like, I was like talking about it with my girlfriend. Like, what else could they have cited? They're like, it's personal, performance, and attitude. It's like, what else could you say? Like, emotional issues? Like, what else could you even throw in there? Like, they literally were like, hey, it's something. And then they just like expect people to take it for what it is. And like people then say that because Alfari said, oh, like it was my fault. Like he admitted guilt in the situation, where it's like, I don't know what else you expect this guy to do when he's like,
dude,
potentially losing his career, right? I don't know what you expect him to fucking say besides for that. But like, how does that even make any sense when you look at what's happening within the games? Like, it clearly didn't make the team fucking better. So I'm like more on the side of, I don't know what the fuck actually could warrant this type of change, especially with a team where you're trying to go to Worlds. Like you're expected to go to Worlds with this team. So like, if you are doing things like this, how do you expect to level up quick enough once you put Alphari back into the roster in week 5 to compete with teams that have been playing with their rosters the entire time, sweating and tryharding when you're already starting behind? It seems like a recipe for failure.
LS?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Alphari thing, the thing that bothered me the most is I got really angry at the people that commented that Team Liquid's post was acceptable and that everyone should have just calmed down. Dude, I feel like I'm living in like the Twilight Zone. Like, what reality are we living in that you're this fucking naive and dense to accept the tweet as like a, because I mean, I think that the foretelling thing about anything, right, is monitoring actions over words of people, right? Actions are generally more honest. Doesn't matter what someone says. You just watch what they do, right? And I think that's probably a lot more telling. Alphari's actions speak more than any Twitter fucking PR bullshit can ever hope to rectify. As well as the things that they couldn't account for, right? Which is the interview and then the Jenkins interview that did you do it, dGon?
Yep, I did it. Yep.
Where he even doubles down and acknowledges he didn't know. So it's like, what? And this came out after their fucking PR thing. Well, actually, maybe the video was done before, but it came out after the PR. So, I mean, these are variables.
The video came out before the statement. Yeah, the video was shot before the statement. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a bundle of things that I guess are just an issue. So like, there's so many issues that I had wrong with it. Obviously, I think that they're cutting their nose to spite their face. Like that's an obvious thing. So there's that sentiment. The other sentiment is how naive so many people are when it comes to the way that the whole situation was handled. Alphari like deleting tweets and other stuff, and it just feels really, really, really bad when you consider he's still really young. Despite having been around for a while.
He's 21.
Yeah. He's still really young despite having been around for quite a while, and trying to manage emotionally the situation he's in with the background that he's had. And what I mean by that is not anything on like a personal level, but like all he's known is like hopping around league teams.
Mm-hmm. And finding high levels of praise and success, but still
right. So I think it's there's a lot to unpack there that I don't know. It makes me just feel bad.
So I would say that there's probably a feeling of like, oh shit, here we go again, another team that's giving up on me or something like that, and the actions are coming, his responses are coming from a place like that. That's a little deep psychology, and that's a lot of I think on my from my perspective, conjecture for how he might be feeling. But when you look at the pattern of how teams have gone, that's a little difficult. When it comes to the this is a move we've been planning for a while, I think maybe that's a move. They said it was a move that they've been planning since summer, but haven't told Jenkins. It was very clear that Thomas had no part in playing this,
and neither did Alphari, right? So like,
and neither did Alphari. Yes.
Obviously, when they say that, it's like maybe something that like one time they're like, like if there are like issues with a player, I mean, we should be willing to bench them. Like maybe they said that in like some coach meeting like 2 months ago, like as some random arbitrary statement on how they want to operate their team. But in terms of specifically benching Alphari for Jenkins, no, that was not something that they'd been planning for a while. And like this was super obvious even when I did the crackdown with Jat. Like when we talked about Alphari to Jat, he had only positive things to say and like talked about him like he was a focal point of the roster going forward. So you can go back and date and like timestamp that and be like, oh well, I mean, clearly it wasn't a month. Maybe it was like the week after where they decided to do this. But I mean, if you go into like a conversation with someone and you're like, oh, tell us a little bit about Alfari, and you're like, yeah, I think that maybe he is the best laner I've ever seen in my entire life, and you know, he's the type of player where I feel like he can compete against anyone. If that's like your statement on a player, and then you're like, yeah, and we're thinking about benching him, like it makes no fucking sense. Like what? Like clearly, if you read between the lines at all, without even knowing anything specific about the situation, you can tell that there was clearly conflict.
Oh, we lose him.
We lost Dom. It's fine.
What?
All right.
Dom
Hello?
is
Oh, there we go. Oh, you hit your mic, bro.
I don't think
hit
you
your
hit my mic.
The mic turned black on the screen. I saw it.
Well, I don't know how hitting the mic would do anything.
I thought the top, when you hit the mic, it mutes.
Oh no, I don't think that happened.
Okay.
I think I lagged for a second.
Actually, I think TL muted you. I think. I think.
Right, whatever. Wait, what part did I leave off at? I don't even know when I got muted.
You were going off on the best laning, and that read between the lines was one of the last.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So if you read between the lines, you can tell there was conflict between Jett and Alfari ended up benched. That's all you fucking need to know about like what actually happened here. It's like, I mean, in terms of like the hierarchy and how things are going, I think it's very standard. It's like, okay, well, the coach matters more than the players. The coach had a disagreement with the player, so in order to like maintain structure and optics and all that stuff, the player is the one that ends up being benched as a result.
You know, it's. I believe that the truth is somewhere in the middle, and that we will never know the truth, because this is what happened at Golden Guardians. There was always these types of arguments, and in our case, the players went out and the coaching staff got let go near the end of the split. It was very, very bizarre. But you know, I think the decision that a GM or person in power, whether it was Steve or whoever, has to make at that time is, who do I stand by? Who makes this final call here? Do I stand by the structure and system that's in place that theoretically will still be in place and has championship caliber, championship pedigree that can make that happen? Or do I stand by the superstar player that's going to be the catalyst and the producer of, you know, of the plays, and we can put another system around them? So I think that's that was just it's a fascinating one that we're getting to see play out just throughout the rest of the split, I guess, until June 27th, 26th, 27th. That's when he's coming back.
Look, I mean, that's when he can't. That's like when his break ends or whatever the fuck. Like, it doesn't even say explicitly that he's going to start. Yeah, it's a suspension. Okay, here's my problem.
Yeah.
How come we're not even letting other teams fucking beat our teams at this point? We're literally just beating ourselves before we even go international at Worlds. Like, what do you expect the result is going to be at Worlds when this is how like the season starts out? Like, VENN benched, Alfari benched, players randomly like moving off the roster. Then you have like TSM doing whatever, still doing their same dumb setups where they don't have any idea about like what like they're doing at their Baron, trading Baron for Nexus, all that great stuff. Like, what do you expect is going to happen at Worlds if this is how it starts?
Well, let's dive into that then. Like, how do you feel that the move for King has been so far for Sven? Obviously, we know all the positives for Sven. We know there's been a couple of, like I would say clutch shortcomings of Sven, but he is one of the most experienced Worlds international players that we've had. How do we feel like young Calvin Trung has been doing so far for C9 there in the bot lane, LS?
I mean, I feel like I watched I watched King's ProView, and I watched most of the game on his ProView. I feel like I don't know. I had higher thoughts of him before going into the ProView. I think that he's just servicing the team. But I feel like he's not as good as Sven. So it's another Sven. Yeah, he's okay. He's not as good as Sven, and they're shooting themselves in the foot because it's a noticeable drop off. So this is very akin to like the Alfari situation where you had the best AD carry in the league and he's not playing. So
yeah, like how is this good? How is this good at all for us? Like literally, that's all you need to say. It's like both Jenkins and King, if you go into their pro views, are significantly worse than Sven and Alfari. That's it. That's all I care about. It's like, okay, so we're nerfing ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. Perfect.
The other thing is like there's the Max Waldo clip, right, with Fudge and Monte Cristo. That I know is on like some of the YouTube channels or whatever, where he's asked about Sven, and Max says that he doesn't think that he'll play in summer. And I think there's a lot to like read between the lines on his facial expressions and how he answers the question. That I mean, obviously we already know that Max doesn't have a lot of input inside of the team. Neither does Vigar. Like this is like publicly acknowledged stuff. So the decision's coming from somewhere. I think it's obviously really, really weird.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking weird. We should probably be using our best players. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is like, I don't see FPX benching Nuggery anytime soon. Like, I'm not seeing that happening in LPL where they're like, yeah, you know what, Nuggery? Like, you might be the best player in the league, but you're having some team issues. You know, you're kind of disrespecting TN in a post-game review of a scrim that we had. So, you know, we're going to bench you for the rest of the split. We're going to actually just use a different top laner for the next 5 weeks. Like, that's not happening in LPL. Like, I don't expect that to happen.
Come on, it happened in LCK. Just take a look at what happened last year with Faker.
Yeah. No, how did that go?
You know?
How did that go? I don't remember.
You know, I mean, might not be the best decision, you know.
Okay. And who are they using now? Wait, who are they playing? Who are they playing with now? T1.
They have the main roster.
Wait, they're using Faker again. Damn, they're using Faker again. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there other examples of when a player got benched for attitude issues recently? Right, Piglet doesn't count. I would say
that's the difference. Okay, so people always make this like parallel where they're like, okay, well, Piglet was like a world-class player that came over in season 5.
Well, sorry. I was just gonna say every time I hear it's attitude issue, I always am on the side. It's not the player.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm always on the side. It's not the player. It's incompetence.
So I can speak to the Piglet benching because obviously I was involved in that situation. The difference was that Piglet wasn't performing in LCS and he was having huge attitude issues. If the player's performing really well and they're the best in their role, then I don't think you make a change like this. In the Piglet situation, it was like a thing where me and Piglet could not play together on the same team. Like that was what was happening at that point. Like we could not see eye to eye, and literally he was just being so ridiculous with his narrow-minded viewpoint of the game that it was impossible to actually like function like that. It's his viewpoint was, if I am ever winning my lane, then our jungler has to be here first. But it's like there's obviously a bunch of factors. Like, yeah, that's a good, like when you're winning your lane, you should probably be playing around your winning lanes. What happens if all of our lanes are winning? What happens if like there's a situation where I don't have the opportunity? What happens if I'm wasting time? What happens if I have free ganks somewhere else? And you actually don't need a jungler in order to live the situation. In that situation, the player that's like the star player is not performing. So benching Piglet made sense in that regard because number one, it fixes attitude issue. And when he came back, he was playing much more like a team player. But number two, he wasn't performing, which is like the number one thing in LCS. It doesn't make sense to bench somebody when they are performing super well, when they're like the best top laner in the league, the best AD carry in the league. Like Piglet was forgetting his runes on stage and playing games without masteries and going 40 CS down to Sneaky. Like that's what was happening in those games. And like then there's like the other thing where people are like, oh well, the player can never speak up. So imagine in that situation where it's like, okay, Piglet or me has to be benched or we like can't go forward. Like somebody needs to go forward. Now imagine in the situation where I'm the one performing, if I got benched, then if I say something publicly, I would have been the bad guy in that situation. Like I hate this like standard around players in the community. It makes no sense. It literally makes no sense.
Well, I don't like it that it's whoever talks first wins. It's really, 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 really weird. Whoever talks first wins. But also the amount of stuff that happens behind the scenes that never goes public, I think is also like really problematic. And it's really weird that the amount of truths that happen behind closed doors, but the amount of conjecture that's used to reach decisions by the public and then like hang people like via kangaroo court is also really, really, really strange. There's just a lot of ass backwards shit inside of the community. And I think another culprit of it, well, I mean, like, fortunately in this instance, I think interviews have helped us with like some stuff. And when I say us, I mean like transparency. But I think that another big problem of it is interviews. In the way that there are impossible questions that then pigeonhole players or staff into answers that they probably don't want to give, but then it's leveraged in a negative way.
Yeah. Go on, please tell me how I can do better with interviews in the future, LS. I'm interested in this one. No, Sass. But I'm actually interested in like what you think by that, because my goal is to get the story out, but also I have to ask like a hard question, just like I did with Jenkins, where I was like, "Hey, are you guys cool? Did you know about it?" Right? Those are the two hard questions that I think I had to ask, and then it does put him in a position to have an answer that needs to be asked. Are you saying positioning that question is like I shouldn't have asked the question in the first place? I'm interested.
No. I would have to think about this a lot more. Basically, I think the issue that is present right now is, so an example of an impossible question, right? I think this mostly stems towards infrastructure and staff. Like I talked about this on the talk show I do with Nemesis, right? Which is imagine hypothetically, okay, a player does not like a staff member that's on the staff. If you ask a question about the staff or that staff member in particular, they're put in an impossible spot where it's not in the player's best interest, nor are they able to say anything negative without actual repercussion.
I see. Cool.
But I think there's a lot of examples of impossible questions that happen in interviews.
I'm interested then do you think Dom asking about Alfari and Jet just having to say good things is like one of them, right? Where like, no, that's not the case. He didn't have to say all those nice things.
Because
I'll just think about it.
So literally what it is, I just don't believe that was a tough question at all. I don't think that there was any idea of benching him. Like I literally do not believe at all when Jat says that they were planning on benching Alfari for like over a month. Like I don't believe that at all. Like so I think that he just answered like super honestly. Like it didn't seem like I asked him the question and he's like, let me think about this. How should I phrase this? I mean, I did an episode of the Crackdown with Jat where I just pretty much asked him about Alfari and he just said, he pretty much just sang his praises and said that he was like, yeah, good to work with, one of the best laners he has ever seen, like all that type of stuff. Like that was the question that I asked him. So like to me, I just I don't get the vibe. Like I feel like if there was something more to it, you could tell, unless he is actually just that like quick on it where he instantly was able to not even think about it and like make what he's saying sound 100% truthful without hesitation, while actually being like on the side knowing that he was going to bench the player. Which also like I don't even know if that's the answer that you would have if that's what your mentality was, Yeah. Like I feel like there would be a way that you could throw a hint of like not putting the player down at all, but just throw a hint of like, oh, so like these are like Alfari's strengths and these are Alfari's weaknesses. Not like, yeah, he's fucking amazing. He's like one of the best players I've ever seen in my whole fucking life. Like that's just like, okay, well, Jesus. All right. Well, I mean, he is pretty good.
All right. Let's we've talked a lot about the substitutions and obviously how y'all feel and how they've been going so far. We'll continue to see how these pan out. I kind of want to dive into currently the hottest team in the league right now. 5 wins in a row here for 100 Thieves. And Abadage shows off that he can play more than just Karma in that very first game. Gets himself a Kali, pops off there. And they rifle off 3 more wins and now slot themselves into second place, tied with TSM and in front of TL after they beat, I forgot who they beat this week, but one of the teams was TSM. So I wanted to talk about those 2 teams right now. 100 Thieves in the ascendancy and TSM after going 3-0, go 1-2 and almost 0-3 against CLG this week. But we're able to sneak out that win. Thoughts on 100 Thieves here, LS, as they've come out pretty hot to start?
I think they're performing above expectations, and I think that now with the turmoil surrounding Team Liquid and TSM, I mean, Abadage was brought in, right, to guarantee Worlds. I don't think he was brought in to win NA. I don't think that was probably like an honest thought when that decision was made. But I think that with the turmoil that TL are going through right now, and even the woes that I think TSM are likely going to actually have as the split continues, and it's looking like 100 Thieves and Cloud9 are probably top 2. I don't think, regardless of 100 Thieves' run so far, I don't think they're probably better than Cloud9 at all. But I think that you're getting everything that you wanted as a 100 Thieves fan with your off-season move.
Do you feel like, because I feel like I'd be a bad host if I didn't bring it up, do you feel like this was just a bump in the road for TSM? Because they did go 3-0 last week. They did look like one of the strongest teams, and I think one of us said like they were going to be the main competitor to Cloud9 by the end of the split. I'm interested in what your thoughts there too.
Sorry. I mean, I think, yeah, go. You want to go?
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, so I think that TSM in general is a team that is always going to have like really good weeks and really bad weeks because they don't have solid fundamentals to fall back on. Like when you see them have a game that does not go smoothly, like what do? They just start Baron a million times and then hope they win the game. They just like keep on starting Baron, but they don't even have like good Baron starting fundamentals. When you watch like RNG and MSI, it's very clear that they have systems in place to determine how to like do a Baron, right? Where it's like they're factoring in who needs to tank it, how much damage do we do, are we turning? If we are turning, who's going to turn on what ability at what point? Like all those questions are answered almost instantly. And everyone just kind of like falls into line. And we have a clip here we can show on the Parsec where it just shows like how TSM approaches Barons. So if you look at like this example that we brought up, this is like one of the Barons that they do at the end where they essentially lose the game. They immediately look at the situation. They know that Licorice has just TP'd, and it feels like the only reason they start off this Baron. Like if I were to pause it and I would like guess what's happening in comms, they just are on the level of like, we're starting this Baron because Viego is bought without TP. That's the only thing they're thinking about. They don't know how fast they're actually going to kill the Baron, how much damage do they deal to the Baron, do they need to turn? And then they don't even like set up a possible turn, right? Like at this point, even with the Baron at 12k life, they've essentially already committed to finishing the Baron as their only option. Because if they were going to turn, they would need Sword Art to be off the Baron, because obviously he's not going to do any damage to the Baron, he's support. And they would need him like sitting in this brush. They would need to remove the pink ward here and look for like an example of like, okay, this guy is coming in. If they have deep vision, they see somebody coming in and they turn on that. They've already committed to finishing the Baron at 12k. And if you just see like how they play it out, you can tell that they don't even know what to do. Like while it's happening, like they still don't have a plan. Their only plan is like, I guess we're just finishing this Baron, which is like a ridiculous. Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing to do when the Baron is at 12k. And then everyone shows up, and suddenly they're all in the back of the pit against FlyQuest. They're suddenly all in the back of the pit, and they don't even know. Like, sort of, it's like, I guess we're trying to turn here. Like, if you ever wanted to turn on a Baron, would you turn on the Baron once the Udyr is in melee range of the Baron? Like, it's so fucking ridiculous to even assume that they had any idea of what they're actually doing here in this Baron. And they're like, okay, we ulted. Leona Rumble doesn't even block anything. Nocturne suicides in, and you can tell that it's just like a panic situation where like, all right, just try to kill the Baron and everyone leave they can. And they just like lose the game here instantly. I think that this is the main reason why TSM always like looks really good, then looks really bad, is because they don't actually have like any systems in place. So either they are like winning and it's a smooth game and they can just like make easy decisions, or they just like end up trying to like force something because they feel that they're losing and they're like, oh shit, we're against Lulu Kog'Maw, we're losing, we need to do something, we're gonna get outscaled. And they force something like this, and then it just ends up being terrible. Like there's no consistency and there's no like comeback strategies that they have like ingrained in them where they're like, okay, this is like our way to actually abuse TP advantage. Because like starting the Baron is fine. Like starting the Baron is a part of potentially making a comeback play, but it's just like being able to analyze all the other things real time and figure out, okay, so if we do start hitting the Baron in their vision, like what is their response going to be? And then what are we going to do? What are we trying to actually accomplish out of this? Are we killing the Baron? Are we turning? Whatever, all the stuff I just said. So I think that TSM, until they actually figure out like how they want to play these situations, it's going to be bad. Also, like I would say that this is just, it's really crazy to me that Sword Art is getting paid like so much money for this. Like this is supposed to be his strength, right? Like this is supposed to be what he's really, really good at. Shot calling, being able to determine what they should do. And don't give me any excuse about his English. His English is perfectly fine. You listen to this guy in interviews, perfectly fine English. He can communicate everything he wants to. I think he literally just doesn't know what to do either.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this goes into who spearheaded the decision, right? I made a comment. I can't remember where I made it. I said that the most valuable players on TSM in terms of money, right? If you were to wipe all narratives, right, and just only watch their games, the most valuable players, if you watch the last like maybe year or 2 years of the game, right? It's Power of Evil and it's Spica.
Yeah.
Those are just the two most valuable players. And then after that, you go into this this weird area of the next three. Where like Lost is like a resident, so like he like goes up a little bit in terms of value there. But yeah, TSM, I wholeheartedly agree. It's really weird because someone in my chat told me that Bjergsen said Sword Art said in an interview that Bjergsen really goes over mid game a lot. But I've now watched all of their pro views except for Sword Art's, and I can't imagine how it's not like a group therapy session on their laning phases. I just can't. There's no way, because laning phase is just if you're really, 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 really good at laning, it's an extension. I mean, it's the purest form of the game, and if you're really good at it, other things will just fall into place naturally because you fundamentally understand the game. So fundamental decisions later on in the game will be more cohesive and understood. But the reality is that they clearly don't fundamentally understand the game, and you can tell that just by watching their laning phases. So it doesn't matter what you're fucking telling them in mid-game, because it's like a reading comprehension test that students get in school, where you'll have 100 different students read the same paragraph, and they will all interpret it differently. The same way that you will have the same 5 players listen to Bjergsen give a speech on what to do in a situation, but their brains will decipher and interpret it entirely differently, and it's all just wasted effort. But I think that things like this or concepts like this are not readily thought of, and especially they're not going to be readily thought of by a player turned coach or people who have never actually played the game at a really, really, really high level. And I'm not referring to Bjergsen right now. I'm referring to like other staff members. Especially people that never learned or developed learning processes to differentiate themselves from their peers inside of the same esport or game.
Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to talk about that I think rebounds off this point is also like, I mean, what I assume happens is they have a bunch of different mid-game issues every time, and Bjergsen will probably be able to look at it and tell them what the right answer is, but they don't really learn from it because they don't actually have like fundamental systems in place, which is part of the reason why when I talked to Nelson, why I respect him so much and why I started like bringing him on shows all the time, because he's somebody that actually has experience working with like a lower tier team in LPL and making them better over time, and like how you can implement systems into a team so that players don't have to like do this whole thing where they don't have to like do the reading comprehension test where they tell you every single time what the actual answer is. They have systems in place that give them some type of basis to fall back on. So like dragon setups where you can be like, okay, 3 minutes before, this is what we do with our top wave. Like, doesn't matter if we die. Like one thing in Nelson always said, doesn't matter if you die 3 minutes before Drake top wave, you literally suicide push the wave as hard as you can in a lot of situations. You know, like this isn't obviously applicable in every single situation. There's going to be times where it's bad, but you set up systems where it's like, okay, 1 minute and a half before, like carries will be able to explain if they're going to be able to reach enough gold for an item that's going to influence the Drake fight. If they can, then then you push the wave, recall, get your item, go to Drake, and then 1 minute before you set up wards in a certain position, and then you play the situation out from there, right? Like there's things that you can tell players that can give them something to rely on when they don't have any like actual feel for what they should be doing in the game that will generally be correct. Like you can create systems for players to play the game so that it makes it easier for them. And I think that a lot of these teams, they have no systems when it comes to how they set up like objectives. Like how many dragon setups are you going to have to do over the course of a season? How many Baron setups are you going to have to do over the course of a season? Like how do you actually have a structure within a team that you can fall back on. And it feels like almost none of these teams have any structure, any setups, anything that makes them unique at all. It feels like everything is almost completely feel-based in the moment. It's like, okay, we're stronger, so we can like control this. Oh, like this guy's intake. Oh, this guy stepped too forward. Go on that guy. There's not like the thought in place beforehand. So I feel like that's the biggest thing that's missing from coaches in the LCS is there's no way that they're like trying to like teach calculus or some shit when like really what they need to do is like teach them like the formulas to do algebra. Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to where they would learn that, right? We've hit on practice before, but both of you all had experience in the competitive space. Do you feel like you all had adequate practice of those situations when you were on TL and your time coaching as well, LS?
I mean, so for me, so I've been in esports 16, 17 years. It was either learn how to differentiate or offer value to people that were my peers in various game titles, or literally die. Like, I mean, I had $200 to my name and I went into a fucking casino, and if I went broke, I was going to kill myself. Like, I was always on a knife's edge to try to think about ways to accommodate to my situation, or think about ways that I could do things differently from others. And so I was always thinking. And when I was talking to other pro players, whether it be in StarCraft or Hearthstone or like whatever, right, I had to think about things they weren't thinking of in order to offer value to them, but also offer value to myself. I felt like I didn't have a choice but to think about alternative ways to accommodate to situations, come up with things, break down things, process them, etc. So yeah, hope that answers the question for me. I don't know about Dom. I mean, I've said this before, by the way. This isn't anything new. This is in like interviews and like yeah.
I mean, I guess for me to like just go back to like my time on TL. I mean, like this is the reason why I thought Peter was actually like one of the only coaches I ever had that was useful, was that he was able to actually give us some baseline for how we should do things that we could fall back on. I think that's the major reason. So like people will always look at results of seasons, but they won't realize like how like what was actually luck and what wasn't. Like the fact that our curse teams ended up placing top 4 was complete like luck. We had no systems in place. We weren't a good team at all. And we would just essentially like go into like playoff games more confident, and like we would just be more in the moment than like, for example, CLG, which is why we would beat them all the time. Whereas like when Peter came in, like he was able to actually give us some type of like fundamentals where we could all have like something that we could do that was applicable to multiple different games, so that we would be able to like understand how we're going to take an objective beforehand. And obviously not everyone bought in, which is like a huge problem. Obviously, if people don't respect your coach, then the systems that he puts in place are not going to fucking work, because people are not going to be thinking that that's relevant information. Like they're going to be like, oh, why do I need to fucking, like, let's say the example I just used with like the system of a minute and a half beforehand, carries understanding how much gold they're going to be able to generate or what items they're going to have before Drake. Like what happens if they just think that that's fucking useless, and they just think that is like not relevant information, or it's like a little kid thing to do, or like or like they just don't want to actually go through the steps every single time. Well, then the system's not going to fucking work. But I feel like Peter was actually good about trying to instill some of these things. And I think this is like the reason why Nelson got picked up by G2. It's not like he's like coached some like shit team in LEC. Clearly he had a tryout with G2 where they had a scrim block, and he was able to provide a different perspective on like how he sees a lot of the situations they got into game. And they probably, the players probably just thought it was useful. You hear Yanko's talking about it. He's like having this different perspective of different ways that we could approach the game or approach these different situations is healthy for our team. And this is what we needed. And that's why Nelson is here. Right. Like, I think that there's not enough coaches within LCS that actually have this this idea. And you know, it's part of the reason why I don't even respect most coaches in LCS. Like I don't even know what they do, but when I look at like what's happening in the games, it's really hard for me to feel like people actually have all the intangibles needed to be a coach. Like how do you get people to buy into a system? Can you create a system? Do you understand the game on a high enough level? It feels like every single coach is deficient majorly in one area. And I can tell just based off the quality of LCS, like the fact that I've been asked to be a head coach of a team should show you that, like, and I have zero experience. Like, I know that I'm deficient in a bunch of these areas. Like, I am aware of my own deficiencies that I would have as a coach. But like, if they're asking me, then what the fuck are the other options? You know, like, if they're like, okay, if you're like proficient in one of these areas, you might be good enough.
One of the things that I think I talked about this on like the thing with the show I do with Nemesis, right? I think I talked about it on episode 1. There was there's a guy that's been in the scene. He's been publicly coaching various MMR ranges, right? From like bronze, prior to iron existing. So he's been coaching from like bronze to challenger, right? There was a whole thing that just happened with him a couple of months ago that actually spawned from like, he reached out to me in Nemesis, asked us to review his coaching session with a challenger player. The challenger player was playing against a pro player. Now, this is a guy that has documented thousands of hours worth of coaching, right? Like actual like VOD reviews.
Is this the guy that like literally just sounds like you, but with incorrect information? Is that the guy?
Yes. Yeah, very, very, very similar mannerisms and stuff. He does the same stuff, right? He goes over like faker VODs, apto VODs. He VOD reviews like tons of pro players, but he has actual more hands-on, tangible experience coaching laning phases and like mid game and late game, like from the first person perspectives of high MMR players, right? The sad reality is that this guy has actually probably spent more time coaching and having conversations one-on-one with players of high MMR than any coach in LCS, like on just specifically laning phase or like mid game or like because most coaches, what they do is they do this like wide arching thing, right? Where in review, anyone can spot where a game went really wrong, right? Anyone can do it, right? Twitch Cat can do it, right? Oh, that Dragon fight was bad. Oh, that Baron fight was bad, right? What they can't do is look at a laning phase where both players are even in CS and then be like, oh, this guy's blundering 24/7. They can't do that. Because if they could, it's a whole different ball game, right? But this is also the lack of original thought that's present inside of the scene, right? It's why everyone waits for other people to do something before they do it themselves. Or it's why there are like we'll call it systems, right? That are actually fundamentally flawed, like just auto rotating for Herald at 8 minutes, right? That are devoid of logic, devoid of concepts, like even when the variables are not there to make it correct, right? That is a trained, enforced thing that is completely disregarding accuracy. So if that guy was so incompetent at actually being of value to just random challenger players, grandmaster players, master players, right? I feel like that coaching session that I did should be eye-opening. And it wasn't a coaching session. It was me and Nemesis going over the guy's VOD of a guy laning against Froggen. And to me, I already knew that this was the case, but I feel like it should have had more fallout from it, I guess, because if you look at the resumes of most people, not only are they very fresh in the scene, what is their background? And there's nothing publicly available on them. And I really don't like the idea of stuff that's like hidden, where you can't know anything and everything's based off of conjecture, right? Because whenever you do get insights into behind the scenes stuff, it actually paints a worse picture than you had even imagined. I could rant on this forever, so I'm just going to stop here. But
yeah. I would say that both of you all definitely don't hide shit. And if so I think that as a leading expert and willing to have those types of conversations.
Well, I mean, most coaches don't. Okay. Most coaches don't want to expose themselves into like a conversation about the game, because then it will literally just expose how like deficient they are in terms of game knowledge. Like that's why I respect all the coaches that will actually come on and have a conversation with me about the game, because it's like, dude, why? Like, I mean, you can go with the angle of like, oh, I don't want to reveal anything, but it's not like we're fucking like the top teams in LPL. We have like
the revealing thing is bullshit. The revealing thing is bullshit. The revealing thing is total nonsense, because I mean, I can live in broad daylight tweeting out my fucking thoughts on literally the sun and the moon. Some people will do it and some people won't, right? Or like there's so many other examples besides myself, but it just doesn't matter. It's such a fucking non-factor, because you can't practically take everything, nor just because you see something or hear something doesn't mean anyone's going to implement it or be able to adjust it, right? It doesn't matter. So it's one of those things that's just really fucking weird. But also the amount of things that are actually in need to be kept secret or like private, it's so fucking little. And eventually it's gonna show its head anyway, right? And if it's actually requiring, like for example, right? Wasn't there a fucking AP Tryndamere and it was like broken, right? Mm-hmm. Once upon a time, it was AP Trend. Okay.
Yep.
If AP Tryndamere was in the game and I'm a coach of a pro team, okay, yeah, I won't talk about AP Tryndamere, but eventually the team will play AP Tryndamere, right? Mm-hmm. But then I'll talk about AP Tryndamere because now it's known, right? But like that's such a small decision where it's like, okay, you find AP Tryndamere, you sit on AP Tryndamere, you use AP Tryndamere. Right now, me being just a co-streamer who just co-streams every region, if I find AP Tryndamere, I'm singing it to the heavens on Twitter and fucking YouTube.
Yeah, like
right?
if I found Rumble Jungle, like I would probably just have tweeted about it a month before MSI and then get into like wars with casters about the relevance of the champion competitively. Absolutely.
Oh my god. But no, I mean that's the situation. Yeah. That is the situation.
All right, we've delved off a little bit further into coaching and the coaching systems and structures that should be in place and that have found success across multiple titles. Thanks LS, across multiple eras. Thanks Dom. Let's dive back on in with about 15 minutes left into the couple teams still left standing here that we haven't quite hit on yet. Immortals, they go 3-0, then they go 0-3 with this change to Pretty. CLG, they get so close twice to pulling off some big upsets this week, and yes. You get the Gladbroxa turning into Sadbroxa. I'm so sad. Let's see, FlyQuest with the big upset over TSM, but TSM obviously panic and against the scaling comp. What are some of the, I guess, teams that we haven't talked about yet that have caught your eye in the storyline, both good and bad? I'll start with you, LS.
Teams that have, I mean, good and bad.
Good or bad. Good or bad. Good or bad.
I'm trying to think about good.
Let's just do good and or. Let's just go with good and or.
Oh wait. Yes. Also, can you please find that tweet? Please find Joe. Please find LS's prediction tweet. Where it's fucking hilarious. Go ahead, LS. Please tell us.
Wait, I don't even know a prediction tweet. Which one?
Yes. No. You got it. I'll find it. Please tell us about the good or teams.
The good or teams. Yes. The good or teams. I mean, actually, bottom of the pack super rough. I mean, Immortals had a really, really good. I mean, the Immortals have been having their run, right? But I feel like it's very just akin to Dignitas. Everything else is just falling apart for people. I don't think they're actually doing anything like super standoutish. I will say that I have watched, I think, the least Immortals games because I don't watch all 5 days of LCS. I watch 4 because of schedules. Right. So I'm not totally fair in an assessment of them, but I don't know. I mean, 100 Thieves are not overperforming. They're overperforming expectations. I think anyway. I think that they're doing pretty well. I don't know. ProView is just giving me so much insight, man. It's making me I don't know. I'm excited to continue to watch more ProViews and then try to see more about the region. But I can't. I don't think there's too many good ors right now. I feel like even the top of the teams are like sort of rough and wavy. CLG, I don't know. CLG Golden Guardians, it's rough out here.
I mean, I would say this, like in the first 2 weeks of LCS, I mean, Abadange actually just looks like the best player in the entire region. Like that's actually what it looks like after 2 weeks of LCS, which is like kind of crazy when you consider that he just came from EU, and most people like considered him like 5th best in EU. Some people would say 6th. Like he was just, some people would say top 4. But like the fact that he came over and he's instantly kind of like shitting on everyone, it's pretty surprising considering like what you'd expect from other people. But yeah, I mean, he actually just looks like Faker Dage. And then I guess for my like bad teams, I mean, the team that frustrates me the most to watch is FlyQuest, and specifically like I've been really frustrated watching Licorice because I feel like he was one of the players that I think showed the most potential out of like any NA top laner that's came out in the last like 4 years. I mean, when you think of his first season, he was literally going to semifinals at Worlds before he got stomped by Blip, obviously, but like he was actually at his peak, and I just feel like he's regressing. When I watch him play, there's so many times where he'll just like throw his lane over nothing. Like there was that lane where he was playing against solo Set, so he's playing against Golden Guardians, right? And he's playing Gnar into Set, which should be favorable, especially as you get like to like level 9. It's essentially impossible for the Set to like really get on the Gnar ever, and Gnar can just chunk him down. And then he just goes behind turret, proxies, and then he all-ins twice, and suddenly he's like 0-5 or something in the game. I just feel like these types of situations are pretty like weird, and when I watch FlyQuest in general, it feels like there's almost no like semblance of like coaching on the team. Like I feel like this team has pretty much no systems, and their macro makes very little sense to me. It seems like this team is just like the most solo queue team that you could possibly find in a competitive game. I don't know. It's been pretty triggering to watch.
I mean, but how do they? What is the quickest fix? What's the quickest fix for this? Is it like, hey, please, like, you know how this matchup goes, stop losing your brain, or like, what's the play?
I mean, I don't know who is the coach of FlyQuest. I literally have no clue who the coach of FlyQuest is, but I assume that they have like no actual systems in place for how they play out different situations throughout the game. Like they're now developing like, hey, Licorice gets like dove top lane at level 4 every game. Like, let's play something about it. And it like became a meme. But from like hearing the players talk, like I don't actually know if Licorice realizes like how badly he's playing to make himself diveable in all these situations. Like it's normally not that he's getting dove with 0 counterplay because his team doesn't respond at all. A lot of the times it's him misplaying the early lane phase and getting into a situation where he is now opening himself up to a dive, where it's like if you are like in a lane that is potentially diveable, you can do things so that you don't end up with a massively stacked wave while you're on low life under your own turret. So I just don't know like how these situations like came to be, and it just feels like this team doesn't have any identity. It's like if the players play well enough, they win. If the players don't play well enough, they lose, right? Like there's no team strategy, team cohesion. It's just like, can Jose Dioto pop off? Can Palfox get one of his picks, like a melee carry that he could potentially do well with? There's no like ideas there as to how the team is going to win these games.
So they've got a European coaching staff. The head coach is Kanani, with Sharks as well, who Sharks I'm more familiar with than Kanani. Sharks coached the CES region teams to the point where he got bumped up over to the EU Masters teams.
Okay.
He played jungle for a little while, but yeah, Kanani is the head coach of FlyQuest with Sharks as their assistant coach.
Okay.
Kanani, I think, is challenger on US.
Which, yeah, I mean, look at that coaching history. Like, it's stacked.
Well, I mean, okay, I think saying looking. Well, okay, I get what you're saying, but like,
I'm just saying it's a long list. I'm just saying it's a long list.
No, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a fair point.
Look at most people's coaching history, but then the other thing is that like results don't really tell you anything. All that, like, was it on Facecheck last week? I went off on the Curry tweet about revenge.
Yes. You went off on the Curry tweet.
Yeah, I mean, coaching doesn't tell you anything. It's such a fucking disgusting stance that like this is a metric that like the public uses to evaluate people's worth as like coaches. I think that's really gross.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it tells you anything positive or negative, but then also like I don't think it's a good thing when I look at this that it's like, oh, so he's either consistently getting fired or he's like always having like issues and feeling the need to move on. Like, is he on any of these teams for longer than 1 year?
The Mad Lions run. The Mad Lions run. Looked like it was like 3 in a row there. but that's about
okay,
it.
2 months, 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, so less than a year, right? And then he went to ERLs, and then he came back to. But like, I don't even know. Is that
this
regional
normal though in
league?
ERLs? Yeah, it's regional.
know.
It's all regional. Everything he's doing is regional.
Yeah, I don't know. I literally don't know. I just like I don't think I take anything positive or negative. It's like I would just want to talk to him and know if he knew his shit about the game. Like, does he actually have like good ideas about the game? Does he watch other regions? Because I feel like that's the easiest way to start improving your knowledge. Is you don't even need to be like some fucking super genius that has like really innovative thoughts on the game. You can literally just look at, like, if you're a coach in NA, you can literally just look at regions that are ahead of you and learn something from just watching their games. And I don't even know if people fucking watch the games that they have access to in order to get better. Like, I don't even know if people watch LPL or LCK. No clue.
Yep.
That's correct. Well, we know at least that I'd imagine that these coaches can predict matches a little bit better than one of our experts here is. This was the tweet I was talking about before. LCS official tweeted out, "Week 2 is upon us. What are your predictions for the games today?" And I had to reread this a couple times before it really stuck, but this was hyper clever, right? So LS picks 100 Thieves over TSM, picks TL over Dig, and he picks or in the matches between EG, the Guardians, and CLG. That was so good, dude. That has to be one of my favorite tweets that you've ever put out. I'll admit when I'm slow, and this was one of those times where I reread it like for a minute, and I was like, "What? Did it break?" And then I was like, "Holy shit, you're a genius! I give up." All right. Now, with that said, we're gonna start wrapping up here. Final thoughts on this last week of the LCS and upcoming week of week number 3, given the standings that we see here. I guess the one thing I did want to point out, 100 Thieves, hottest team right now, 5-1. They have played, I think, one hard team each week. It's not like it's been a cakewalk of it's a front loaded.
They got to play against the Perk 07 Renekton, man. They got tested.
I guess they did beat C9 when they weren't quite hopping, but you got CLG, FlyQuest, and then Team Liquid to close out the first of 3 round robins, a split for 100 Thieves. You feel like they can close out 8-1. How do we feel about 100 Thieves in those 3 matches?
I mean, I'm not. This week has some other banger. I mean, this week has a lot of the top teams meeting each other, right, for the first time.
Right.
No,
Ultimately?
because the top teams aren't actually using the rosters that make them top teams. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay,
that's the tricky part.
We get C9 against TSM at the end on Sunday. You get TL against 100 Thieves. I guess, do we include Dig on that? Dig against TSM. So TSM's gonna have a busy
please.
week.
I can't even look at this. Dig is actually top 5 in NA after 24 games played. It's so triggering, actually.
Yeah, 2 games clear of Jiizuke and Co.
Look, if you apply
in NA.
You don't get it. If you apply fractions, CLG's only down like 2 games. It's fine.
True,
it's all just a matter of
so they're 1-3.
Here.
They're 1-3. So
yeah, it's fine. They're coming actually.
Do we have any Dig to the Mooners? Faith. Dig to the Mooners out there? Hunter Nyes is one of them. Who else is joining them? Dig to get to the moon. Look at this. My bad. I got you off. So yeah, TSM has probably the toughest schedule there. TSM, Cloud9 has a okay schedule. They play EG, should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. EG, tough schedule.
It just seeing how TSM continue to do is going to be very foreshadowing, because if Alfari does return and 100 Thieves keep playing the way that they do, then TSM doesn't make Worlds. Probably.
Yeah. That's scary. There's going to be one team out.
I mean, honestly, like, I think that right now it might be beneficial to not make Worlds. Like, I feel like unless I start seeing something differently, I don't know how NA's making it out of groups like this year. Like, it just seems like going there is literally going to make you look worse than if you didn't even attend. Like, somehow in the community, the way it works is like, if Cloud9 goes and gets shit on at MSI, then the team that Cloud9 beat in TL somehow like moves up in people's minds, where it's like, yeah, Cloud9 got shit on and choked, but you know, like TL probably would have been a better team to send anyway. So it's like your value increases by not showing up to Worlds.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I don't know what happens. So Cloud9 didn't do well at. Well, I mean, Cloud9 there was
Didn't
MSI, but now. If Worlds this year, like what happens to the region if like NA just bombs again?
I don't think anything happens as long as PCS doesn't outperform NA again. So it's like, I mean, it's like a region.
That's a tall task.
That's a tall task, man.
Well, I mean, but like what I assume is going to happen is PCS and NA won't get out of groups. So it'll be like, yeah, I mean, it just is what it is.
Okay.
Let's go see. Did Doggo get traded yet to Talon? Is he full-time Talon yet? I'm trying to see if PCS started up. We'll figure that one out later. I need to get going for this one. Y'all, it has been, I think, a great conversation. One of my favorite conversations that we've had here on Facecheck in terms of the coaching staff, in terms of the systems that need to be put in place, benching players, LS helping me out with my interviewing skills. I'll be not just mine, but just in general, like types of
I got to think about that more.
Yeah, but I would love to hear it. And, you know, obviously I don't mind sharing it. I think I'm a big fan of like saying, hey, this is how you go do it. And people still need to put in the work and do it. So, you know, I think that'd be a really cool thing to hear from you. Closing thoughts, Dom.
No, I mean, I'm hoping that we eventually like are getting our, like, I mean, I memed about it a lot this episode, but I really hope that like we do get our best lineups possible and we just like, you know, make the best showing possible in the playoffs and at Worlds, you know, like even if NA gets beat, I hope that, you know, our best get beat at least.
For sure. LS.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm, you know, fudge factor. That's it.
Fudge factor. Oh, let's go get that one, dude. I want to find it. Where is it? Where's the copy pasta on fudge? Let's get that one. The ego on this kid playing a rookie player off rolling in the top lane. Honestly, why?
Oh, wow. You ratioed him with 40 times his followers? Wow. Well played. Holy shit.
And with that,
we're gonna shit know, you know.
we're gonna close it. You see, Freak also tried too. That was pretty funny. We're gonna close it out there. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us for episode 20 of this season, week 2 in the books. We'll be back next week for week number 3. You can catch both of them on their co-streams. I'll be doing post-game interviews, trying not to ask impossible questions. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch y'all next week.
And just let's just not all forget that Kayla massively ratioed LS last week as well. Let's just leave that out there.
Yeah, we can find that one later.
She had help from Fudge.
All right, see you later.
Oh, hey there. Look at the time. Time for another video. We got 2 served up for you right here. Right there.